Welcome, Chuck. Thank you for being here today.
How you doing, man? You doing good?
Yeah, doing great. Like your shirt, I'm a big Superman fan.
Thank you.
No problem. So, first of all, we're coming off of some big news. Congratulations to you and your team's Eisner Award for Bitterroot. That's awesome. So, I know we're not talking Bitterroot today. We're talking on the Stump, but you are one of the co-creators of Bitterroot, along with David Walker and Sanford Green. How does it feel, man?
It feels a little surreal, man. Very grateful. Still quite not sunk in yet with me. But I'm real honored, man. It's among a lot of great people that have come before me. So it's just really weird, man. Really, really excited, and still, like I said, kind of hard to believe, but I'm very proud.
Well, it's such an awesome series. I love it. And it deserves every bit of that award that you guys got. That's amazing. So tell us about yourself. What's your background? How did you end up in the comic world?
Accident, man. Total accident. Well, as a kid, I kind of got started late. I didn't get in my first comic book shop until I was actually in college. So
Oh wow.
I used to kind of go to, with the pharmacy, other grocery stores. There was a spinner rack, and
Yep.
that's kind of where I put my comics up there, here and there. Um, my brother bought me a huge batch later on when I was young, and I think it was like an Avengers comics. That was one of my first books that I had. And I used to kind of give them, create my own characters, give them origin stories and abilities and villains and, backstories. And but I never really actually created comics, really. So it wasn't until, like I said, so I got to college where I met like-minded individuals, and we kind of started kind of an indie studio, and we started putting out our own stuff just to try to break into the industry. Because as a writer, I don't have anything to show. You have to actually
Right.
create. You have to actually put stuff out there. Actually publish yourself. So some publishing is how I kind of got started, man. Doing it for the love and dreaming big and hoping for the best.
That's really cool. I interviewed Jamal Bilal a while back. He made a comic book called Half Breeds, and he said comics is one of the only industries you have to be in the industry before you can be in the industry.
Right, right.
So you said you self-published some books in those early days. Do you remember what was your
Oh,
first book you self-published?
oh, it's called 803. So 803 is the area code. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, and myself and other local guys, Stephen Prowse and Anthony Hightower, and we put our own stuff because we all wanted to be in comics. It was called 803. It was an anthology. We each
Nice.
had our own different kind of story. Mine was called American Empire, basically about a shadow government, behind our own government, basically ruling things, kind of like more an empire, like like a Star Wars empire in a sense.
Very cool.
We did like 3 or 4 anthologies, black and white anthologies, and we kind of sold them at Comic Cons, and out of the trunk of our car, kind of a thing. So that's kind of how we kind of got going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how did you get from moving from indie self-publishing to kind of the you worked for Marvel for a while, I know. How did you make that?
Well, one of the indie books I put out was called Trench Coat, Cigarettes, and Shotguns, and it had a catchy title. It had a weird concept, so I
Hmm.
got a lot of attention from different people, local, and at cons. Got Sanford Green's attention when I was because we were like bakers in the same town, and he
Hmm.
knew we were doing anthology black and white stuff, and he saw the trench coat stuff, and he just saw the kind of stuff I was putting out, and we had a mutual friend that passed away. And I started writing I started writing the story, and Sanford started drawing the story that they didn't finish in the past. And
Hmm.
when that just kind of clicked, and we just kind of kept working together. And Sanford was already kind of broken in at the time, so he was
Hmm.
still on the rise. So we did 1000 together, which is web comic, and we did Rotten Apple together, which got picked up at Dark Horse. So
Yep.
from there, I just kind of always immersed myself in the industry, and always up there hustling the cons and meeting people and putting out stuff, and doors eventually opened. They're not huge doors, but the doors eventually opened where I got a little bit of Marvel stuff here and more Dark Horse stuff there. Built the relationship with Image, and we get on the Stump out there. So
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. So we are here to talk about On the Stump. So let's break it down. What's happened so far? What's next? How many issues are in this first series?
Lots of blood, man. Lots of
Lots
blood
of
and death.
blood. Lots of blood. Hold up my issue one right here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if you haven't read On the Stump, basically it's a world similar to ours, except that most of the political decisions are decided in hand-to-hand combat,
So
and
not
that's
that
the
different from ours.
not that different. A lot of corruption, a lot of corruption, a lot of mindless tribalism in this story, and it's kind of a reflection on I guess real life in a sense, but I'm also having a lot of fun and mystery and excitement and that sort. So it's a 5 issue series.
Okay.
Nothing more planned at the moment. It's a five issue series. And we're on issue 4 now, and issue 5 will be out next month.
Nice. Very good. Well, like I was telling you before we went to recording here, that I have issues 1 through 3. Number 4 is sitting at my local comic book shop, and I cannot wait to get it because this is all just such a unique story. Obviously, like you said, set in an alternative timeline. But where'd you get this idea for this alternative timeline where legislation is settled by fistfights?
I've always been fascinated and annoyed by politics for a very long time, and I always wanted to tell a story about it. And I've also had this idea in the back of my head about this very violent world where they don't have the. It's also kind of a weird thing where they don't have the gun violence that we have, but it's also very physically violent world that they live in. So I kind of meshed my frustration with politics with that concept,
Mm-hmm.
and understood kind of sprung forward, because you look at debates and you see how ridiculous it is, how they kind of go back and forth, and it's not really about us, it's more about them and what they can do and what they can accomplish. And it just kind of organically kind of came forward to have two politicians beating the hell out of each other in a ring. I don't know, it's kind of layers over time, man, and it's kind of give a life to its own.
I love it. I love it. It's so very true that the debates are almost just a performance, just like a fist fight could be. So I totally get that. Um, what's the process like bringing your comic book from kind of those layers in your head, kind of building, to eventually pitching the idea to Image and then being published?
Stuff out was a lot of daydreaming, honestly, man. And I still have a day job. I'm an IT guy.
Really?
Driving to work or carrying around a server or a laptop or something, you just thinking about these stories in your head, and then when you get a chance, you sit down and you start an outline. That's what I kind of do. I just kind of get it down on paper, throw it up on the page in a sense. I do an outline of each story, decide how many it's just going to be. Think of my ending first before I put it on the paper and where I want to go, and then I just kind of do a process from the outline to a rough script, second draft, third draft, and just try to focus on writing it first instead of finding an artist and where it's going to be published and the marketing. I just kind of focus on getting it down on paper first, and then from there I kind of find out what will be a good artist for it. Then I got to do the head hunting and searching on Instagram and Twitter, trying to find the right person to work on it, and then from there you produce it, and then from there I hope to find a publisher for it. And if I don't find a publisher for it, I have to decide if I can put it out online, put it out myself, and if I can afford to put it out myself. So again, a lot of different steps to it, So
Yeah.
something you got to kind of enjoy to kind of get the process going, but it's a lot to think about putting out a comic. You can lose a lot of money
Right.
and a lot of time, a lot of sleep. So yeah, that's
Wow.
that's my. I'm pretty sure it's different for everyone else.
Right. That's
Like Me
awesome.
and David, when we work together, it's very structured.
Hmm.
First, we go back and forth online and things about ideas. Um, we decide, what would be ending for him and what would be ending for me, and what would be best for him, what's the best for me, and then I kind of write a first draft, they write a second draft, kind of go back and forth. But we try to be very structured with that outline. But I guess when I'm alone, it's more or less, I kind of try to take my time in a sense. I kind of focus on getting it on paper and not really worrying about where it is. Working with David and Sanford, it's getting published somewhere, But as far as me, I just kind of get it out on paper and kind of worry about where it's going next.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Get the story out. So you talked about trying to find an artist by looking on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So your artist on the Stump, I love the art in this. Tell us about your artist.
Artist name is Prezi. He's out of Italy.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah. I don't remember what concept it was at the time. Um, I don't even remember what it was, but I think I may have reached out to him like in 2014 or something crazy like that.
Wow.
And he was busy or something. I can't do it or whatever. I don't even remember. And then it reached back out to me again in like I don't know 2016 or 2018 or something. And I almost forgot he even existed. And I was like, man, this stuff is awesome. It's even better than it was before. And I was like, hey, we'll just keep in touch and we'll see. But I had him in mind all the while for on the Stump. But I wanted to be sure. I wanted to make sure the script was done. I wanted to make sure it was fleshed out. And then, when I was ready to go, I just reached out to him and he was ready. And Prezi is just amazing, man. He is just so professional and so enthusiastic and just so perfect for this book, man.
Yeah, the art in the interior especially is great. I'm going to hold up just some panels here real quick. But, I mean, I love the art. I love the art. The art can, I mean, can make or break a book. And this one, when it has a good story and good art, I just fall in love with it. And this one's got that. I love it. So what other, are you following any indie owned, creator owned titles right now?
Right now, what I want to pick up is Philadelphia. I still haven't picked that up.
Yeah.
But I love Farmhand. What else? I was getting into Billionaire Island, I think it's called.
Okay.
That. Other than that, that's about it right now. I'm behind on my comicsology stuff right now, but that's about it right now.
That's cool. That's cool though. So given what we know about your book and just about what's out there, if you could do a crossover, let's say crossover between On the Stump and any other book, what would it be?
Wow. Any other
any other book?
Wow. Oh, let's see. That's a good question. I don't know. I think something maybe with anything with Gotham City would be cool. Some of those grounded characters, something like that would be cool. Batman or Robin.
Yeah.
Something along those that lines would be cool.
Yeah, totally. I could see that. I was thinking after I read David Walker's The Hated that could make a really cool prequel perhaps to On the Stump set in just because again it's set in an alternative timeline and you don't really know what the future looks like in that timeline.
That's true.
So you've kind of done it all. You've self-published books. You're doing the creator-owned. You've written for one of the big two. What advice would you have for somebody just kind of getting into maybe they're just wanting to publish their first indie comic book? What advice would you give?
Do it. Just do it. Just draw, write, put it out there, and just be honest with yourself about the quality of it. And be your own worst critic. That's my best advice. Don't fall in love with yourself or your own work. Always try to improve. That's my advice.
That's really good. That's really good. So what's next for you? Any other books planned? What's coming down the pipeline?
Well, I'm trying to develop a couple of not image, but I'm trying to develop some creator-owned projects, and that'll be pitched to whoever, image or whoever will take me, So I'm trying to work that out right now. I'm definitely gonna be working with Prezi again on something. We already talked about that. And I'm doing a couple of short stories. I'm writing a book of short stories, and I'm probably gonna be doing a Kickstarter for that in the future. This is my first Kickstarter, so I'm a little chicken. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Kickstarter can. I've heard so many creatives say, their first or second campaign just didn't work out. Just keep trying. But Kickstarter can be a beast sometimes, the amount of work that goes into there. So good luck with that. Let us know when that kicks off, man. So thank you again, Chuck, for being here today. Man, On the Stump's amazing. If you guys out there watching this, if you haven't read On the Stump, pick it up. The trade is coming out in November, I think, November 4th, maybe.
November 4th or 5th?
Yes. Somewhere in there, beginning of November. So if you don't want to buy the individual issues, go buy that trade. It's such a unique story, such a great story. Thank you again, Chuck, for taking the time out just to come and chat for a little bit today.
And also, I guess Bitterroot number 10 and On the Stump number 5 are coming out the same day in September.
Nice.
And both the end of the each arc. So,
and the Bitterroot collection comes out in October, right?
October 21st, yeah.
Very good. Very, very good. Well, I can't wait to get those. And I'm still buying all the issues of Bitterroot and On the Stump as they come out, but I'll probably get Spring for the trade too.
Buy two.
Thanks again, Chuck. I really appreciate having you on here today.
No problem.